Time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. Al, we're about a week into our first full official week of summer. So what's the end of June and the beginning of July look like for us?
Yes, Troy, we've moved into July and it is now what we would officially call summer. And this weekend, we're going to see summer-like temperatures and even worse than that as we get into Monday and Tuesday. During this last week, we had several precipitation chances. The big bust was, of course, Saturday when we were expecting widespread severe weather, and we seen thunderstorm development to the north and south of us, and we kind of got caught in between, robbed of all that moisture. We're getting to the point in time now where the corn crop, if you have an early merged May crop, you're basically using more water now than what typically falls in an average week, and the mid-May merged crop is within about a quarter inch of that. So by the end of next week, all of us, or all the corn crop across the state, will be requiring about 1.5 inches or plus in terms of moisture. And unfortunately, we don't get that much climatologically. So do we have chances in the forecast? Let's take a look at the upper models and see what we can expect. Today's upper air charts show the upper air trough over the Pacific Northwest, a little subtle wave coming through north central portions of Colorado. That's going to generate some surface convergence, basically in southwest of Panhandle, maybe catching up a few showers, particularly in the afternoon. And some of that might move into central Nebraska, although precipitation totals look light. Most major convection will remain to the southeast of Nebraska. Then that upper air low starts to pivot toward the northern Rockies, and as we get into the day on Sunday, low pressure develops in western South Dakota and northwestern Kansas. Not a lot of moisture to work with, so once again, just light scattered thunderstorm activity, hit and miss type shower activity with no widespread moisture. On Monday, that trough digs even deeper. Basically, a southerly flow right from the deep south comes up the front range of the Rockies. We're going to see very humid conditions and very warm conditions as the upper air low develops a surface low in South Dakota, and most of the precipitation is over the northern Rockies. By Tuesday, that low tries to pivot a little bit more into Montana. We see a surface low being depicted by the GFS model to develop in southwestern Kansas. That's going to lead to a little bit of moisture and potentially some thunderstorm development in eastern Nebraska. Now, as we go into Wednesday, that trough starts to flatten out somewhat and bring some energy into the northwest part of the state. Low pressure to our south, that's going to be the big fly in the ointment, whether we can get enough moisture up to interact with this front to generate precipitation in the Panhandle, but it looks like most of it will stay to the north of us in the Dakotas. By Thursday, it looks like that trough's starting to weaken out somewhat, and so we don't have as big of a push into the north central portions of the United States. Therefore, the low in southeastern Montana is likely to keep most of the moisture well to the east and north of us. There is just a shot of precipitation potentially in northeast Nebraska. On Friday, we see a little subtle wave moving through South Dakota and a little low pressure at the surface. It might generate some thunderstorm activity, a very confined area of low pressure. And so the precipitation is very weak at best, and they're showing some returns, but they're not very strong in the southeast part of the state. So overall, it looks like a fairly dry pattern for this next coming week, with basically temperatures well above normal. And that continues for next Thursday, the following Tuesday, as we renew some more heat coming into our region, particularly the post-4th of July period. There's a little bit more uncertainty in terms of precipitation. It does show us above normal. We've seen this trend off and on pretty much for the last few months, and it's busted out on us. More importantly, very dry conditions to the west of us. So overall, it doesn't look very favorable in this upcoming week. So again, Troy, overall looks like fairly warmed conditions and drier than normal conditions next week. Check out the drought monitor. I would expect if the conditions from this forecast bear out, we will see further expansion of drought in Nebraska as we get into next week's release.